Hey beautiful soul, welcome back to the channel. If you are watching this right now, I need you to know that this is not a coincidence. The universe and God have guided you here today because there is something deep within your heart that needs attention, something that has been hurting for far too long. Today we are going to talk about emotional wounds that need healing. And I have pulled 3 powerful cards that are going to reveal exactly what you need to see right now. Before we dive in, I want you to take a deep breath with me. Just breathe in all that divine energy and breathe out everything that has been weighing heavy on your soul. God sees your pain. God knows your struggles. And today, through these cards, you are going to receive the message you have been waiting for. This reading is for you if you have been carrying hurt from past relationships, if you have been feeling stuck in emotional patterns, or if you just sense that something inside needs to be released and transformed. I am feeling such strong energy around this reading already. The spirit is really present here, and I know that whatever comes through these cards is going to be exactly what you need to hear. So let me shuffle these cards while holding your energy in my heart, asking God to show us the wounds that need healing and the path forward that He has prepared for you. All right. The cards are ready. I pulled 3 cards for this reading, and let me tell you, what came through is powerful. We have got the Sun, 5 of Wands, and Queen of Wands. Now before you think, oh, those do not sound like wounded energy, trust me. God works in mysterious ways, and these cards are about to reveal layers you might not have expected. These are not just random cards. This is divine guidance speaking directly to your situation. Let me start with the first card that jumped out. And this one really surprised me in the best way possible. The first card is the Sun, and I know what you are thinking. The Sun is such a positive card. How does this relate to emotional wounds? But here is what God is showing me through this card, and I need you to really hear this because it is profound. The Sun represents the wound of dimming your own light. Let that sink in for a moment. Your emotional wound is not just about what others did to you. It is about what you stopped doing for yourself. God is showing me that somewhere along your journey, maybe through heartbreak, maybe through betrayal, maybe through disappointment, you learned to make yourself smaller. You learned to hide your joy because you were afraid it would be taken away. You learned to downplay your success because you did not want to make others uncomfortable. You learned to question your own happiness because every time you felt good, something bad seemed to follow. This is the wound, beautiful soul. The wound of believing that you are safer in the shadows than in the full brilliance of who you truly are. I am seeing that this wound likely developed in a relationship where your light was too much for someone. Maybe you were with a partner who felt threatened by your confidence, who made subtle comments that chipped away at your self-expression, who could not celebrate your wins because they were too focused on their own insecurities. Or maybe it was not romantic. Maybe it was family dynamics, where being the shining star meant becoming the target, where success was met with jealousy instead of applause, where your natural radiance was interpreted as arrogance or showing off. What breaks my heart about this is that the sun is meant to shine. That is its entire purpose. And you were created to be radiant, to be joyful, to be full of life. But this wound taught you that your light causes problems, that your happiness makes others unhappy, that your success creates distance. So you learned to dim it. You learned to celebrate quietly, to succeed privately, to be happy cautiously. Always waiting for the other shoe to drop. God is telling you today that this wound needs healing because your light is not your enemy. Your joy is not something to be afraid of. Your success is not something to apologize for. The universe did not create you to be a dimmed-down version of yourself. God created you to shine. And here is the thing about the sun energy. It does not just shine for itself. It gives life to everything around it. When you dim your light because of old wounds, you are not just hurting yourself. You are depriving the world of the warmth and life and inspiration that only you can provide. The healing that needs to happen here is radical self-permission. You need to give yourself permission to be happy without waiting for disaster. You need to give yourself permission to succeed without feeling guilty. You need to give yourself permission to be proud of who you are without making yourself smaller for anyone's comfort. This is hard. I know it is hard because that wound runs deep. Every time you start to shine, that old fear comes up. What if someone gets jealous? What if this does not last? What if being visible makes me a target again? But God is asking you to trust Him with this. He is asking you to believe that the right people will celebrate your light, not try to extinguish it. He is showing you that the relationships and situations that could not handle your radiance were never meant to contain you anyway. Those losses that came when you shine too bright, those were not punishments, those were redirections. God was moving you away from spaces too small for your spirit and toward spaces big enough to hold all of you. I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to think about one area of your life where you have been playing small because of this wound. Maybe it is in your career where you're not going for that promotion because you are scared of outshining coworkers. Maybe it is in your social life where you downplay your accomplishments because you do not want to seem braggy. Maybe it is in love where you hide your full personality because you are afraid of being too much again. Whatever it is, I want you to make a commitment today to start healing this wound by taking up space again. Start shining again. Start celebrating yourself again. Not in an arrogant way, but in a way that honors the divine light God placed within you. Pray about this. Ask God to heal the parts of you that learn to hide. Ask Him to surround you with people who fan your flames instead of trying to blow them out. Ask Him to give you the courage to be unapologetically radiant, even when old fears try to dim you down. This is your healing journey with the Sun card. This is the wound God wants you to address. Your light is not your liability. It is your legacy. Let it shine. Now let's move to the second card. And this one is going to challenge you a bit, but in a way that brings such clarity. The second card is Five of Wands. And this card is revealing another layer of emotional wounding that I feel many of you are going to relate to on such a deep level. Five of Wands represents the wound of constant conflict, the exhausting pattern of always having to fight, defend, prove, and battle your way through relationships and life. This is the wound of never feeling at peace, always feeling like you are in competition, even when there should be cooperation, always bracing for the next argument or challenge. God is showing me that this wound was created through repeated experiences where love and connection came with strings attached, where relationships felt like battlegrounds instead of safe havens. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you had to fight for attention, fight for validation, fight to be heard. Maybe every conversation turned into a debate. Every difference of opinion became a war. Every interaction required you to defend yourself or prove your worth. Over time, this created a wound that now makes you approach relationships with your guard up, expecting conflict even when there is none. But I am feeling so strongly about this. Five of Wands wound is that it has taught you to be reactive instead of receptive. You have become so used to fighting that you cannot relax into connection anymore. Someone tries to get close, and you are already looking for the catch. Someone disagrees with you, and you are already in defense mode. Someone challenges you even in a healthy way, and you interpret it as an attack. This is exhausting, beautiful soul. This is absolutely exhausting, and God knows how tired you are of always being in combat mode. But the tragedy of this wound is that it makes you sabotage the very peace you are craving. You want harmony, but you are so trained for conflict that you sometimes create it unconsciously. You pick fights over small things because at least then you know where you stand. You test people to see if they will stay when things get rough. You push back against support because receiving it feels unfamiliar and vulnerable. You argue your point even when deep down you know it does not matter, just because yielding feels like losing. Here is what God wants you to understand about this wound. Not every difference is a battle. Not every challenge is an attack. Not everyone who disagrees with you is your enemy. Not every relationship has to be a competition for who is right, who is more valued, who wins. The Five of Wands energy in its wounded state keeps you locked in a cycle where you are constantly expending energy on conflicts that do not serve your growth or your peace. I am also seeing that this wound has affected how you view yourself. When you are always fighting, you start to see yourself as a warrior, which sounds empowering but can actually be limiting. Because warriors are always at war. Warriors are always looking for the next battle. And maybe what you actually need is not another fight to win, but permission to lay down your weapons and just be. Permission to exist without having to prove anything. Permission to be loved without having to earn it through struggle. The healing God is calling you toward. With this card is the healing of finding peace in your nervous system. Your body has been in fight mode for so long that it does not know how to rest anymore. Every relationship triggers that old survival response of needing to compete, defend, establish dominance, or at least not be dominated. But God is saying enough. Enough fighting. Enough proving. Enough exhausting yourself trying to win battles that do not need to be fought. Now here is your healing work with Five of Wands. Start recognizing when you are creating conflict out of habit rather than necessity. Start noticing when your defensiveness is protecting an old wound rather than responding to a real threat. Start asking yourself before you engage in an argument, is this actually important, or am I just uncomfortable with the vulnerability of agreeing, yielding, or letting something go? This is going to be uncomfortable at first, because that fighting energy has been your protection for so long. It has kept you from being blindsided, from being taken advantage of, from being hurt by surprise. But it has also kept you from experiencing true intimacy, genuine partnership, and deep peace. God wants you to know that you can be strong without being combative. You can have boundaries without having battles. You can disagree without declaring war. I want you to pray specifically about softening. Not becoming weak, but softening the rigid armor you have built around your heart. Ask God to help you discern between real threats and old triggers. Ask Him to bring people into your life who do not require you to fight for every inch of respect and love. Ask Him to heal the parts of you that learned that conflict equals connection, that struggle equals worth, that fighting means you matter. And here is something really important. Forgive the people and situations that created this wound. They taught you to be a fighter because that was the only way to survive in those environments. But you are not in those environments anymore. You have grown, you have changed, you have options now that you did not have then. You do not have to keep fighting battles from the past in your present relationships. This wound can heal. This pattern can break. God is making a way for you to experience relationships that feel like rest instead of combat. The third card is where everything comes together. And I have to tell you, when I pulled this card, I actually got emotional because God's timing is so perfect. The third card is Queen of Wands. And this is the healing. This is the transformation. This is who you are becoming as you work through these wounds. After recognizing that you have dimmed your light and that you have been stuck in fight mode, God is showing you the magnificent person you are evolving into. Queen of Wands is confident, magnetic, creative, passionate, and most importantly, she is sovereign. She does not dim her. Light for anyone, and she does not waste her. Energy on unnecessary battles, because she knows her worth is inherent. Let me break down what this card is revealing about your healing journey. Queen of Wands energy is what emerges when you heal the Sun wound and the Five of Wands wound simultaneously. She has reclaimed her radiance and her peace. She shines brightly, not because she is trying to prove anything, but because that is her natural state. She does not engage in petty conflicts, because she has learned to conserve her energy for what truly matters. She is not dimmed. She is not fighting. She is simply being in her full power. God is telling you that this Queen of Wands energy is your destiny on the other side of healing. This is who you truly are, underneath the wounds and the defense mechanisms and the learned behaviors that kept you small and exhausted. This is the version of you that has integrated the lessons, healed the pain, and stepped into a new way of existing. And beautiful soul, I need you to hear this. You are closer to this transformation than you realize. Queen of Wands represents someone who has learned to lead with passion rather than react with defensiveness. She has creative fire that she channels into building rather than burning bridges. She has magnetic energy that draws the right people and opportunities without having to chase or compete. She has standards and boundaries, but they come from self-respect rather than old wounds. She does not need to fight for her place because she creates her own kingdom. I love about this card appearing in your reading is that it shows you the blueprint for your healed self. God is not just pointing out your wounds. He is showing you exactly who you become when you do the healing work. And that is powerful. It gives you something to move toward instead of just something to move away from. You are not just healing to stop hurting. You are healing to step into your Queen of Wands energy. Here is what your life looks like when you embody this energy. You walk into rooms and people feel your presence without you having to announce it. You pursue your passions without apologizing for your enthusiasm. You set boundaries without drama because you understand your value is not up for debate. You attract love that celebrates you rather than competes with you. You build a life that reflects your creativity and authenticity rather than what you think will keep you safe or small. The Queen of Wands knows something that your wounded self forgot. She knows that her light does not threaten the right people. It attracts them. She knows that her energy is too valuable to waste on battles that do not align with her vision. She knows that being powerful does not require being combative. And being radiant does not require permission from anyone who is standing in shadows by choice. God is calling you to step into this energy now. Not someday when you feel completely healed, but now as part of your healing process. Start embodying Queen of Wands qualities, even while you're still working through your wounds. Start acting like the confident, peaceful, radiant person you are becoming. Dress like her. Speak like her. Make decisions like her. Set boundaries like her. Celebrate yourself like her. Create like her. Love like her. This is not fake it until you make it. This is calling forth the truth of who you are underneath the layers of wounding. The Queen of Wands is not someone you have to become. She is who you have always been waiting to remember. Every time you choose to shine instead of hide, you are being her. Every time you choose peace instead of unnecessary conflict, you are being her. Every time you honor your creative impulses and passionate nature, you are being her. I also want to highlight something specific about Queen of Wands in the context of healing emotional wounds. This queen has likely been through her own fires. The wand suit is about transformation through challenge, and queens represent mastery. So this is not someone who has avoided pain. This is someone who has walked through fire and emerged refined rather than destroyed. Your wounds do not disqualify you from this energy. They are actually part of what creates it. The Queen of Wands you are becoming is made stronger and wiser and more compassionate because of what you have survived. Your healing prayer for this Queen of Wands energy should be this: God, help me see myself the way you see me. Help me step into the confident, radiant, peaceful woman you created me to be. Give me the courage to shine without fear and the wisdom to choose my battles with discernment. Surround me with people who celebrate my light and respect my energy. Guide me as I reclaim my power and rebuild my life from a place of wholeness rather than wounding. Let every step I take from this day forward reflect the Queen of Wands energy that is my divine birthright. Beautiful soul. As we close this reading, I want you to understand what these 3 cards together are telling you. You have a wound around shining your light because past experiences taught you that being radiant was dangerous. You have a wound around constant conflict because past experiences taught you that love and connection require fighting. But God is showing you through Queen of Wands that your healed future holds both radiance and peace. You do not have to choose between being powerful and being at peace. You do not have to dim your light to avoid conflict. You can be fully expressed and fully at rest simultaneously. The healing journey is not about becoming someone new. It is about removing the layers of protection and pain that have been covering up who you truly are. Underneath the dimming and the fighting, there has always been a Queen of Wands waiting to emerge. Today is the day you start consciously partnering with God in that emergence. Today is the day you decide that your wounds have taught you enough, and now it is time to let them heal. I am praying for you right now. I am praying that every person watching this video feels the weight of their emotional wounds being lifted. I am praying for divine healing that goes deeper than any therapy or self-help book could reach. I am praying that God wraps his loving arms around your heart and shows you just how precious and powerful and worthy you are exactly as you are. You do not have to earn your light. You do not have to fight for your value. You just have to remember who you have always been and step back into that truth.